katoa iho ma, no mai, haere mai, ki te papatakaro, StayMe Always, bring it to you organic, live and dynamic. Now bring me, now I'm going to reach over and grab TC Creators cup because he's right over there. So cheers. Hello.
Bye.
And we're going to dip into the healing well. So
feel free to join in.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
That's my partner.
You know me, bro, you know what I'm like.
True.
Hi.
That's Thea.
I'm just listening.
She's just going to listen. She'll offer her 2 cents if she needs to. Keep me honest.
Oh, look, we've heard so many great things about you, Eldene. And look, the reason why we've started the show is based and centered around, men and their mental wellness, emotional well-being. And I've added in an extra totem pole into the mix around spiritual awareness. And as you know, and just very briefly talking previous, people are struggling, and especially with the times that we're currently living in with COVID, and how that's actually affected everybody, and especially men. And I'll have to probably bring your wife in, wink, wink, partner in, because I do have a Aroha Wahine show as well that's centered around the same poles with females. So just throw that out for you.
She's nodding with approval. So,
and look, the whole point really is to capture, cultures, diversities, so many different aspects and perspectives of males and their journey and their experiences, because ultimately what we're finding is people need a safe space to go to, and hence I've created this platform. And I've heard so many amazing things, which I mentioned to you previous, from old TZ Creator just over there in front of me, and a few cheeky things as well, but I won't add anything into the show because it's not appropriate.
I think the world of you, bro.
Thanks, bro.
But look, thank you so much for jumping on the show and sharing with us, because ultimately, again, you're going to be able to capture somebody that will resonate with you, that could make, it could be something that you say, one small word, one sentence, or something that you've done that could shape and give them a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Look, tell us, because obviously we're here in New Zealand. We're currently in Hamilton in a level 3 lockdown, and we're in Australia. So give us a bit of a synopsis of your life and also your current situation, if you guys are in lockdown or not.
Sure. So I guess at the moment lockdown's pretty easy over here. The restrictions are pretty minimal. But probably over the past 18 months, there's been like massive changes for everybody, since COVID sort of arrived. So the Sunshine Coast is an interesting spot. We've had lockdowns, we've had like increased restrictions, but generally it's been pretty relaxed over here. But it is definitely an interesting time. And I think, we've made some big changes in our own personal lives to sort of accommodate the changes that come with COVID. And it's a tricky landscape to navigate, because everyone's going to have their opinion about things, and it's it's certainly very divided. People feel differently about it, and it's an interesting process because there's no real one unified idea of what's happening. And if you happen to lean towards an idea that not everybody else agrees with, then you're most likely going to get sort of squashed, or you get sort of pushed down. So I guess it is a tough time for people, and to second what you were saying about your show, it's really interesting to see how people deal with these times. And we definitely do need better processing tools, whether we're male or female, in order to deal with some of the challenges that come with the territory of COVID, and how do you live through it and all this stuff. So I have changed my life pretty drastically since COVID happened, or since it started. Like we lost both our jobs, and we've built other businesses to sort of get us through in the meantime. But it's been super difficult on every front that I can imagine. I mean, the social interactions are difficult with people now, because everyone sort of is a bit weary of each other almost. It's hard to go out and make money. It's hard to go out and live life normally as it was before COVID. So definitely an interesting time. But our life's completely done a 180-degree turn on what it was doing. So I was working in a completely different industry, still running my own business, but that's not, it sort of wasn't feasible. It was the health and fitness industry in the past. And then since COVID, we've sort of moved on to doing other things just to get us through in the meantime. But it's been good. It's been a good experience.
Whereabouts in, I know we mentioned before the show, so where specifically are you based in Brizzy?
We're north of Brisbane. So about next week we move. So we're probably half an hour north of Brisbane City, kind of near Chermside, a bit further from there, which is not too far from where we're living now, but not right in the city. So hopefully it gives us a little bit more space where we are.
Oh gosh.
That's where I met you, eh? At Chermside. Good luck.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That I used to go to the Good Life there. I was living in Alexandra Hills.
Oh yeah, on the Sunshine Coast.
No, I think it's East Brisbane, and then I relocated.
My apologies.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my old camping ground. Oh, awesome. Actually, I'm really fascinated to understand a bit more about your previous business and the new business you've transitioned into, and kind of what were the difficulties and the challenges that you faced as to, transition?
From the last business I was running in the health and fitness industry.
Yeah,
to now. It just totally different. Like my reason for being in the health and fitness industry was it was a passion thing. I came from an athlete background where I was competing and really like sort of putting 20 to 30 hours into the gym every week as a lifter. And then I just got kind of frustrated with the lay of the land and wanted to change some things. I wanted to leave a better system for people because I felt that it was a little bit unrewarding to just train to grow muscles and all this sort of stuff. So I left the fitness industry. I came back to the fitness industry to make a difference. And then I did that for about 5 or 6 years. And when COVID kicked in, I sort of parked that for a bit because it just I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do given the lay of the land with COVID. So we changed. I now run a food business. So we make brownies, which is like completely different to fitness industry.
That's dope, bro.
It's cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, look, we built the idea up over the past 2 years, enough where I can live off it. So I don't have to go to work anymore. We work for ourselves. We have people that work for us, and it's it's a really big change. But the whole point of doing the brownies was to make money for the family, and to build a little money machine that we're proud of making the money we're making, and it's not a bad deal what we do. Whereas the fitness industry is really like a lot closer to my heart, something that I wanted to, I did it because I wanted to help people. Whereas creating the brownies is more about helping our family. And that's kind of important at the moment because unfortunately, hey?
What sort of brownies?
Well, the company's called the Munchie Food Co. So we built it with the intention of doing weed brownies by delivery. So that was the original idea. And we were building it just before COVID started. And then once COVID hit, it sort of made things a little bit tricky. So some of the changes in the legislation that we were hoping that would happen haven't happened because COVID's kind of taken precedence over that. So in lieu of that, we now just make, the brownies that take about 4 days to make. So that's kind of the idea, is we just want to make products that people are happy to buy and that they kind of get addicted to in a sense. So
Yeah.
Anything that's got chocolate in it, I can probably guarantee that's in there, and that's not in terms of transitioning the health industry into food industry. You would have had to have geared yourself mentally and emotionally and even spiritually to a point where that transition probably would have been, I don't know, was it difficult? Was it hard? What does that look like if you were to paint a picture?
The health and fitness industry for me was, I went into that industry trying to help people and trying to leave people with better understanding of what they need to do to maintain their body. And it's kind of pertinent to your show in a sense, because I was a power lifter, so I'm in the gym training to be as strong as humanly possible, and that's really your only goal. And it's all about filling a cup, and it's hard to do that for a long period of time because you aren't really trying to fill a cup. You're just trying to get as strong as humanly possible, and it's the same game. So I did that for a while, got frustrated, and wanted to leave what was happening and do something better. So I ended up teaching at the university when I moved back to the Sunshine Coast, and I also ended up creating a business where I taught personal trainers to be personal trainers. So I wasn't interested in becoming a PT. I was more interested in helping people understand what they can do from a physical standpoint to improve the lives of other people. And if you talk about fitness, fitness is about growing muscles and looking pretty. And that's great, but it really wasn't close to my heart. I wasn't interested in doing this for people. I was more interested in like helping people to live fulfilling lives and know that the training you're doing leads you to a healthier outcome. So I put a lot of time into that, and to walk away from that after 5 or 6 years of, well, I put everything into it, and I had a business relationship, didn't work out, and I ended up walking away with nothing other than my own intellectual property, obviously. So it was a big change. Your ego clings to things, you know. If you're a power lifter, this is who I am, this is my identity. And I had to leave that to become something different. And then I had to leave that again to go off and do the brownie business because of COVID. So it was a big change, and it was all about sort of accepting your path and doing things that are true to you, rather than trying to sort of, I need this to work, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it across the line. Sometimes you have to recognize that you got to walk away from certain things. So, and that really hurts, you know, like when you're dedicated to something. Like when I was a powerlifter, that's how people knew me. So like if I met someone, that was how they described me. And it's hard to unpick all that, because, you know, that's not who you are. That's just the outfit you're wearing for a short period of time. So, and sorry, what was that? Oh, I was just going to say, you know, when I was teaching people about health and fitness and about personal training, one of the things that I would always say is that there's these, it's kind of like your totems you were describing. I used to say you've got your physical body, but then you've got your emotional state, you've got your mental state, and then you've also got your spiritual state. And people tend to separate those things, and they try to deal with health and fitness and separate the body from all the rest of it. And it's not possible. You can't do that. So yeah, it's cool that you guys are trying to kind of share more of that insight with people, because I think it's very important. You know.
I developed a brand called Momentum Brushes, and Momentum Brushes really concentrate on your senses. So it's things and the actions that you do to palpate your senses to change
Cool.
in time that's emotionally, physically based. So, you know, for example, and Tizzy Cradle Words relates back to if I'm feeling down on a particular day, you know, it's amazing what putting makeup on and red lipstick does to your own self-worth and your own confidence and just the way that you perceive yourself. So it's actually not a physical, not only just something physical that you see, and a lot of people would think that that's a bit false and fake, but as all females know, and I'm sure your partner possibly may agree, that ultimately, you know, you could just put on a slightly different clothing one day and feel $1 million, and that will change, you know, that moment in time. And I love the fact that you were talking about helping people, because ultimately that's what we're here to do. So how did you help people to mentally and emotionally, you know, work towards helping themselves when you were doing that teaching?
I think primarily it's more about offering people genuine understanding and then treating each case as it falls in front of you. So I think over the 5 years, I would have taught a couple of thousand people between university and between my own courses as well. And I really value people a lot. I mean, most of what I do in my life is for people. So I just found that everyone's got a story, everyone's got their own history and their past, and giving them the respect and the space to kind of, you know, show you who they really are. Once they trust you, you can do magic with people. People are very easily led if they believe in what you're doing. So yeah, that's kind of what my main thing was trying to find understanding with them.
We talked a lot about on our shows, you know, talents and gifts, and Eddie Poe was talking, Anthony was talking about his gift of, you know, composure of music. So what's your gift and what's your talent, and how can you use that to help others?
Like I said, I don't know what my one special gift would be, but I definitely find it very easy to connect with people, and offering that sort of empathetic understanding. That opens the door for me to do better work. So if someone comes to me because they want to become a personal trainer and we start working together to educate them, it's often the initial conversation is like trying to understand who they are to make sure that this is the right thing for them. And it's crazy how many people are out there doing things that are just not right for them. It's not the right fit, and they don't recognize that. So trying to have better conversations and having good, honest, real conversations with people. It's I really don't think it's not super difficult to help people. It's just listen to them, be honest, be real. And that's what people need,
I totally agree.
That's why I liked you, bro, because I mean, when I first met you and I was doing bids, and because I don't have an ego problem, so if anybody wants to help me, and because I've been watching you for a while, and I watched you, I was watching you deadlift like 200 G's, and I'm like just trying to get 200, and I'm watching, you must have been 60-something kgs then?
Something like that.
And I'm watching you do almost 300 kilo deadlifts, and I'm like, wow, that's insane. And I could see you creeping over to me, and then I just said, bro, can you help me? Because I know you wasn't trying to help me.
All right, you got to help the ones that are willing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's those ones that are actually open to feedback, and that's ultimately what a lot of my role is. So I'm surrounded by about 150, 200 females in the company that I work for, and trying to mentor, educate, train them around the day-to-day circumstances with COVID, and even just to do with personal life. It's very rewarding, which I'm hearing from the way that you talk about people, which is it's so aspirational. And how do you actually have a real and honest conversation? Because this is a struggle for men. They find it hard, releasing their feelings. I'm not saying all, but they can't talk about their feelings. They feel as though they have to be the breadwinner. They have to be the macho one that has to stand up for everything in the family and the household. So how do you actually have that honest conversation to get out what's needed and information to help them?
I think it comes in stages. So, the awakening process, becoming an adult, growing up, moving through things that you can't do. This is it takes time. And, I think that men, I'll be sexist and I'll talk about men for a sec, because I can talk about men because I'm qualified. I'm one. I think that men have a hard time because of what we tell ourselves, maybe what our parents did, how we've been raised. These all make a big difference. It sort of shapes who we are. But when you want to grow up and when you want to achieve better, then you have to be prepared to do things that you haven't done. And for men, sometimes that looks like having a conversation and talking about how you feel. The reality is, I think that therapy across the board is what humans need. They need to be able to communicate. They need to be able to speak from their heart. And for some reason, we've just been tricked into believing that, it's not tough to talk about how you feel. The toughest thing is like forgiveness and love. These are the strongest men I see. They know how to forgive. They know how to be honest and open. And so it's almost like the old version of men, which was meant to be tough and stiff upper lip, and I don't cry when I'm sad. These days are going to go, because if we want to move forward into the future, we need to know that we need to raise better people. And in order to raise better people, it starts with the parents. So you have to lead by example, right? So I don't have a problem. I came from a household of that stiff upper lip type. You don't cry when you get hurt. But, we have 2 children. And if you can't converse with your children, if you can't talk to people on their level because it's not cool, or you're too embarrassed to be emotional, it's just so hard to deal with life's problems. So I think it comes in stages. I think it's a process, and it's like the more you practice, the better you get. So you just have to let go and have a go. And the toughest men I know are the ones that they will cry and they will be emotional with their family, and they will show you that vulnerability, because that's tough. That's the hard yards. It's easy to shield off and not be emotional and be disconnected, but who wants that? The 1950s are dead.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do this, man. That's why I wanted you on the show, because you're actually the archetype. You're the type of person and the type of male, and because I know you're strong inside. I know that your inner man is strong and powerful, and that was back then, and it's been so long since we've talked to each other, and then how you've grown and you've developed, and bro, that your maturity is crazy. Like,
Well,
yeah,
life matures you, man. You know, it's we've had some big things happen during COVID. We've lost a baby, and my partner's children, they lost their dad. So and that was in May last year. They lost their dad in a motorbike accident overnight. So that's some of the hardest times I've had have been in COVID. And in May this year, my partner, she was 6 months pregnant, and we lost the baby in May. So, you know, it's those moments that make you lift, and you have to realize that life happens for you, not to you. You know, if you look at things that everything's outside of your control, it becomes very difficult to grow through it. But if you realize that life happens for you, then you realize that the hard times are your opportunity to rise up. And if you can't deal with it, I understand, but that's how it's helped me get through the difficult times, by understanding that you've got to see the good in things. You've got to take the good from it. No one tells you this. No one tells you get to grow from the hard times, you know. But if everything was perfect and nothing went wrong, we'd have no reason to reflect back and change. We'd have no reason to grow. But when you make a mistake or when bad things happen, this is your opportunity. This is you have to grow from the struggle.
Yeah, and I resonate with everything that you're saying, and I love the passion behind what you're saying, and it comes from personal experiences. And look, tell us what you want and how. But you were talking about, you know, tools, you know, levers, etc., in terms of how to help yourself cope. Can you share with us what sort of like things that you did through those tough times to actually see you through to the end up until now?
Sure. So I'll give you an example. Like when the baby died, we had to go to hospital for a week, and it was like the longest week of my life. Like it just never ended. And in that time, you've kind of got to really practice what you preach. So it's great to sit here with you and talk about all these lovely tools and tips and tricks and how do we process in life. But in those hard times, that's where you really are tested. It's like, is all this sort of, I want to say spiritual, you know, is all this chat about being emotionally in control and dealing with your life well, how do you actually apply it at those times? And so I think for me, when the baby was passing, or when that process was happening, I just tried to stay neutral. I know that might sound strange. I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know if I'd break. I didn't know if things would get out of control. I was fearful that I might lose my partner as well as the baby. So it was a big week. And in those times, I just tried to appreciate the present, which is very challenging to do. But I actually couldn't believe it. But the night that we gave birth to the baby, we knew the child had passed, so we had to pass the baby anyway. So we had to give birth to the baby anyway. But when that happened, it was I actually felt gratitude for the people around me to sort of, you feel your family hold you up in those struggle times, and rather than letting it buckle me and thinking poor me, I just saw my family all around me holding me up, and I thought, you know what, like this is what matters. Is that when times get tough, you've got good people around, and it was sort of just a lovely confirmation. So those sort of things really help. It helps to sort of stay positive in the eye of defeat, but be realistic about what you're doing. Feel the emotions that come with it. It's going to be hard, right? You can't sort of run from it. So accept it, but then have the guts to look at the situation and take what you can from it. Because if I took nothing, if I just looked at it and said, why me? It'd be a long, dark road for me. And I'd constantly be thinking, why did this happen to me? I believe I'm a good person. I like to help people. I'm very passionate about spending time with people. And I do lots of good for people. And, you know, why did I deserve this? But instead of looking at it like that, I looked at it like life happens to you. Life happens for you. They gave me the opportunity to try to find the good in it, which I actually did. And I was very grateful for the opportunity to engage in a very difficult time, because I don't think you really get tested a lot. You know, sometimes the universe throws you some mad curveballs, and that was one of them. And I can't say I passed with flying colors, but I do know that I can hold my head high, that I conducted myself well. And you know, I think that's what it means. It's just trying to find your way through the struggle, really.
Yeah. And looking back at the situation that you went through with baby, you know, how did you support your wife? Because a lot of men, and I've spoken to them before, and even females trying to support their partner who's the carrier of the baby. You know, they've got different emotions running through them mentally, physically. You know, what did you do to support her, to help her get through it?
I just tried to stay with her. You know, what do you do in those dark times? You just go back to some basics, and that could be just being with her, just holding her hand, just kissing her face, telling her I love her, trying to be present with her. And like, you know, it is a hard journey, but you bear the load together. And you know, I had infinite respect for her after that. I just couldn't believe that she was so strong. And in a strange way, I was like, I almost felt like I felt more lucky she was with me. I was like, wow, this woman is you know, she's magic. So she had actually lost her firstborn child to a previous partner, and he wasn't there throughout the birth. He was not present, and so like, pretty easy to see what you need to do and what you don't need to do. But for me personally, I definitely felt comfortable staying with her, and I refused to leave. You know, I'm not going to go away and leave her to ride that out by herself.
Absolute respect to you and circumstance, and then bringing the kids into it, because that's another aspect that you've then got to deal with as yourself, as your partner, and then you've got your, is it 2 boys?
Yeah, a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Yeah, and then having to go through that conversation, and you know,
Yeah.
so how did you support them to help them to understand what had happened?
Look, it's just about being honest. Don't hide anything. Life is real. You know, if you hide the truth and you have to make up a fancy story to get through a dark time, I know there's a time and a place for things, but the kids are very resilient. They're very strong. And it was a good opportunity to sort of show them who we were, because I look at it like one day they may be in their own difficult situation. If I could leave a good example for them, if they can reflect on how we conducted ourselves, then at least I know that, you know, we're showing them the best way forward, or a good way forward, you know. So that's kind of how we did it. We brought them in. The older boy didn't want to come and see the baby, and that was fine. I respected that. You know, he didn't need to. But I guess it's all about showing them that, you know, we're a family, because I'm not their blood dad. I'm the fill-in, or the new dad. So for me, it was a good time. It was a good time for me to show them a good example, I guess. I was very conscious of that during it too, you know, because their mum had been through some really challenging times in the past, and now's a good opportunity for them to see how you should conduct yourself, because I felt that their dad didn't do a good job of that when he lost his firstborn. So I was very grateful to be able to show them what I thought was a better way.
Right, you're the real deal, man. And
bro, that's sweet.
We'll be on point every step of the way, because I know you well enough to know what you're about, man.
Well, you know, it's about walking the talk, not just saying things, but doing it. You know, actions speak. And we all can talk nonsense, but are you really going to put your foot down and do what you got to do when push comes to shove? And I've never backed away from that, so I just keep running in that direction. But it's also about learning how to pick your battles too. Life's a good challenge, you know. Everyone has their own struggles, and I'm not sitting here saying poor me. You know, I appreciate everybody goes through a tough time. How you bear the load, how you carry it forward, that's the most important thing.
Definitely. And I take my hat off to you yet again. And going back to kids and being resilient, you know, I was a single mum, and you know, I would try and often hide a lot of the truth, because I actually didn't even know how to deal with it myself. 2 kids on my own, full-time job, you know, and then you do what you have to do at the time to feel it's the right thing. And now, I totally agree with you. It's about being honest with them, actually telling them the truth. Do you have to disclose all of the truth? Not necessarily. It's making it, because obviously my 2 girls are 8 and 6, so their understanding versus your older ones may look a bit different.
Of course.
But absolutely agree with you on that one.
You got to play the ball from where it lies. That's what I keep telling people. It's all good to talk about it, but when you're standing there, when it's in front of you, what are you going to do? You know, and you can only make the decision that's in front of you. You can only look at it and go, I'm going to pick the best way forward. And sometimes it just having that mental space to actually make that decision is really difficult. You know, you get almost forced into situations where you have no choice. You have to make big choices. But you know, if you can slow things down enough where you can at least be a little bit more proactive in your decision making, you can process things better, and you can sort of, you know, pick a better pathway forward.
Great. We also talked a lot about on our previous show. We had Shannon, who is a family man from church, former artist, avid drummer. That was his talent, one of his talents.
Mm.
And we spoke about identity, and for males, the importance behind knowing where you come from and your identity. What's your perspective on that? Do you think that's important?
Your identity?
Yeah.
I think what you identify with is critical, and I think it's very easy to identify with superficial values because it's cool. If you look, if you take powerlifting, I'm the power lifter. Who you are and where you came from is pretty important. I give a lot of respect to the people that came before me, because without them I wouldn't be here. So I value my heritage, and I think it's important. I just think it's about being honest with yourself and really living the life that you want to live, because I know there's a lot of people doing stuff that they don't really want to do it, but they're still doing it. And I just don't think we have to do that. I think, sure, there's certain people out there living right now because they have to do things in their life to get them through the choices they've made. And I respect that. But, in the perfect world, we'd all be making better choices and picking better paths for ourselves. So I think it comes down to identifying with things that matter to you. It's very easy to get caught up doing stuff that's, it's irrelevant. You're like, what am I even doing this for? So I agree. Identity is huge, but how you go about identifying that's the trick. It's easy to get lost in it,
Yeah. And you also find too, it's the people in and around you, and it can be family and friends that really coerce you to do the things that you wouldn't actually expect, but you just naturally get caught up by default because you were there at the time. And then it's just a continuation.
Yeah, I've done that for years.
Yeah, right.
How the hell did I get here? You say that to yourself. It's a funny thing.
Yeah. And a question that I've been asking everybody as well.
You got a dancer in the back. I love it.
So do a little performer. Say hello. This is Kaya.
Hi.
Hi.
She's been bugging me all afternoon.
She always tries to get on the show because she likes being. She's a limelight person, so she's.
Oh, I see this. Well, good on you for making someone that wants to shine. That's cool.
Hey, it's very similar to Anthony over there. So yeah, the question that I'm asking everybody is who is your hero, or did you have a hero growing up, and is it still the same individual person, whatever?
It's a tough question. I think my hero is my mum, to be honest. I know that sounds really cliche, but she's a woman that she's always done the right thing. I can't say that I've always agreed with her decisions, but I feel she's always put her family first, and she's very honorable in the things she does. And she's a little bit old school, but old school is still good, and I feel like there's been many times in my life where a lot of other people wouldn't have been able to cope with the struggles or the things that we were going through, and she has never buckled once. She's always been that super strong backbone. So if it's impacted me at all, it's taught me to be stronger in myself. So I think my mum is my hero in that regard, only because she's like the undisputed champ of not giving up and persevering through tough time. So she's the sort of person that will do what she says, and I think those are respectable things. But most of all, she puts her family first, and I've never seen that break. Even in hard times, I've never seen her, I'm just going to take care of myself. It's never been that. She's always taken care of everybody else. So she is quintessentially the mum type figure, and that's a very honorable way to live your life. I think it's a worthy thing to do. She's very devoted to her family and her children, and yeah, so that would be my hero, and it still is my hero. Like if I I'd back that to this day. Don't tell her.
I love that word that you use there, bro. What's for me sums you up in a nutshell. The word quintessential. It's a word that I haven't used for quite some time, and because as long as I've known you, you've always been quite verbose, and I knew that you had a really good vocabulary on you. I think that's one of the reasons why you and I spoke with each other so well and got on so well, because we have an extensive vocabulary and we actually know how to express ourselves punctiliously.
It's important.
I think your mum came from where my mum came from, because they sound very similar. Yeah.
Well, she's from PNG, so she comes from that sort of village life, I guess. And I have a lot of heart for those people because they do the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
And you know, really at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who need better family values, and it doesn't take much. It just takes time and like genuine care and compassion, and you can be a good family. It's just have to do the hard yards, you know.
So is that your cultural background, PNG?
Yeah, and obviously I grew up in Australia. I was born in Brizzy, so not too far from here, but that's where my family's from, on both sides, on my mum and my dad's side. So I can't get away from it.
And have you been to PNG? Have you ventured back into your heritage? And
no, I do want to.
Doing?
Sorry, what was that?
Is that something you're interested in doing in the future?
Oh yeah, big time. You know, I want to go and I need to touch the land that they were made on and see where they came from, because I think it's important. That's kind of that identity thing, you know, knowing where you came from. And I haven't been back, but I would like to go.
Yeah,
it's an interesting country.
Yeah, I've heard stories from people that I know that weren't born there, born in New Zealand, but obviously the parents and you know, their circumstances and situations. We were talking about where we culturally came from, our background, and as males, you know, trying to find your identity and where you fit in the spectrum of life and in the family. You know, some of the males I've spoken to didn't have fathers, so they felt though that something was missing, and that you know, there's an opportunity to possibly call on and look back into your history to see if there was any kind of aspirational people to look up to, and actually divulge to find out whether you've got, you know, similar traits or gifts that were talents. Do you think that's something that could help our future males or current males trying to find themselves in today's society?
I mean, it very well could. You know, the saying, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So it's knowing where you came from and knowing, you know, who your parents are or their cultural beliefs or what they identified with is definitely valuable. But at the same time, I am a big believer that people need to find their own way. The future generations create change that the previous generations couldn't, and you're always going to see the older generations telling them, don't do this, don't do that, because they're sort of steeped in tradition. But if you move forward throughout time, you're going to see that there's always somebody, like the little girl next to you, who's going to change tomorrow and do something different that mum wouldn't do. And I really applaud that. I applaud anyone who goes out and who does the tough things in life, because it is hard to break tradition, and your family often won't want you to break it. You know, if your dad was a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. And if you don't want to be a doctor, well, then you probably need to find a new family. I know people like this, you know, these harsh sort of ways of living. So I think it just all falls down to being happy and chasing what makes you feel happy and valuable. Because you can do a lot of stuff for money and you can do a lot of stuff with your time, but if it's not really, you know, pleasing you, if it doesn't make you happy, then I don't think it's worth it.
Tizzy and I have this conversation all the time about happiness, and you know, I've been in a situation where, you know, money, and I'm not saying that well off rich, but money wasn't a problem, but did it actually make me happy? And the answer was always no. And I was always searching to find something to fill me emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and I never could. And
and then I came along and changed it.
Oh.
Maybe. Of course, darling, of course. And yeah, so it seems to be the driver. You're laughing. You're both laughing at me. But money seems to be the driver for a lot of relationships in terms of how you determine success. So yeah, you're right. You do have to find it. And now she's doing a TikTok next door to me. Far out. This kid is amazing, I tell you.
You hit it on the head though, bro. And you both are, and you know, and my sentiments are exactly the same as both of you. You really, like, we get programmed, we get socially conditioned right from day one, and it's not really anybody's fault, because the generation before us, they're just doing what the generation before them did, and then they're just doing what the generation before them did, and then you get people like yourself and myself and Jamie, who actually run against the flow of the river and find all the spots in the river where it's nice to just chill, or you might find some good eating places, And obviously I'm using that as an analogy.
Of course.
But I've never been one to buckle to peer pressure. I've always gone against the grain, and not just to go against the grain, but with doing it with purpose, because I find a lot of people, they do stuff to fit in because we need the social interaction. For me, we're created to be with other people and to with other people, and that's why COVID is so hard. But then you also need time to yourself as well, and whether that looks like you and your family. In your case, it is you and your beautiful partner and your two boys, and because you're actually reading my mail now, because two little girls as well. I've actually got two girls of my own who are adults, because yeah, I'm a heck of a lot older than you, I think. But yeah, just gauging by the child ages. But yeah, I mean, you just look at what we're doing here. How many people would be doing this and openly talking about it on a safe forum? Because there's not many people doing this. That everybody's trying to look cool and trying to be cool and trying to get likes and trying to get subscribers.
Of course.
This is real talk, and this is talking about the things that matter. I mean, and that's why I chose you, because I knew who you were, know what you're about, and fire up. You've just been glossing all over the show. It's been amazing.
Oh, bro, that's very nice for you to say. Look, it's clearly the black doesn't crack because you look young as.
It's because I'm caught up.
No, I think it's very important and very pertinent to have these conversations, because it's an adult conversation. You know, it's good to have fun and it's good to do stuff that we like, but I think really at the heart of it, people need to start doing stuff that matters, do stuff that's real. You know, like it's all of social media and society and this idea of sort of conditioning you to behave in a certain way or to do certain things. I really oppose it heavily. I only sort of applaud people doing themselves. Do you be proud of what you're doing and do it for the right reason. Don't do it because you feel pressured or because everybody else is doing it. That's not a game I've ever played. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. To the same degree, rebelling for the sake of rebelling is no different to sort of conforming for the sake of conforming. If you're rebellious by virtue and it just feels right to be rebellious, then life will be a challenge, but you're doing you, so you'll be okay. You know, if you need to be the straight shooter and you're trying to force yourself to rebel, that's going to be that's just as difficult. So I think the more that people get caught up in ideals which don't matter to them or which don't serve them, the more we're going to get sort of lost in translation. You're not going to have people doing themselves. They're just some sort of mishmash of other people's ideas. And is that who you really want to become?
Wow, what a concept that is. A mishmash of other people's ideas. And that's exactly what's happening all over the world. Too much TikTok, too much Insta, too much Facebook. Oh, I want to be like them. Oh, why? Oh, because look at the bikini they're wearing. I like her body. Why do you like that? Oh, because that's what I've been told to like.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to think for yourselves, people. Learn to think for yourselves. Be the authentic you, man.
And this is what makes it really difficult, is the young ones coming through. And sometimes, again, we're busy. We put them in front of the YouTube channels in the hope that they're watching the right things. But then in the corner of my eye, I'll see something and I'll start hearing something and I have to stop in my tracks and go, why are you watching this? This is not appropriate. So then, but again, it comes back to me as the adult, ensuring that I'm putting the right information and the right shows and leading them in the right direction for that, so they can actually start to serve the right purposes in life and serve them to become fulfilled. And the question I'm going to ask you, so they can fulfill their cups, to feel as though they're doing something. So for you, Eldene, how do you fill your cup? What does that look like?
I just think it's about being true to me and trying to, my moral guide or my measurement of my moral success in life, or if I know that I'm doing the right thing, is if I can look on my actions and feel proud of it, if I could sort of withdraw myself and look back at the things I've said or done. I think it's about just being true to yourself, like I said to you before. So to fill my cups, I'm always going to feel happy if I'm doing something which I'm proud of. There's a lot of times in my life where I've done things that I'm not proud of, and it's very easy to identify those. I think we all know if we're going to do something that we shouldn't do, but you do it anyway and you think, it'll be right, I'll sort it out. And sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. But I guess I want to I want to be a good example. So I don't just wish to say the right things. It has to be followed up with action. So, you know, and living that life is putting the time in to do it. So if you want your children to be good people, then you have to give them time, but real time, not just hanging out, really doing something together, engaging them. And they're going to watch everything we do. So like, if they're going to behave in a certain way and we don't like it, they learnt it from somewhere. And you got to start looking within, because usually it's you that showed them, you know. So that's how I sort of know that I'm doing the right thing. And it's lovely. I'm very grateful to have these two young men around me in my life, because it's sort of every time if I think of, you know, doing the wrong thing, it's very easy to realign myself because I've got that motivation right there.
Yeah, it's a real mainstream metaphor when, you know, you got young fellas and young women around you, and that you may have done once upon a time when no one was looking, but now all of a sudden you've got eyes crying constantly. And
yeah, but what a lovely thing to have, man, is having those eyes there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm enjoying it, actually. It was a challenge when I first started, but I'm actually enjoying it now.
Well, the mischievous one in you and in me is probably likely to make us do things when no one's watching, and we go, we can get away with it. But deep down, you know the right thing to do, so you have to stay off that track. And it's funny to joke about it, you know, but I think when you're living the right life and when you're doing the right thing, you know how to behave, and it's about staying honest with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. We definitely have an inner spiritual compass that guides us, and it's been with us since we come out of our mother's wombs, and people can say, nah, we do things according to what society teaches, but we know us three here, and countless of myriads of people who watch this all around the world will resonate with that concept, that idea that we have in a spiritual compass, and without even being taught, we get that feel, and we know when we're about to do something or somebody's already doing it, we know not to do that, because our inner compass, our spiritual inner compass, is telling us, nah, bro, that's not right. And then we'll either be careful or we'll just walk away and do something else.
I think that comes from good family too. You know, I know that everyone has their own compass, but I definitely think we reflect on our experience before we make decisions. So it's autonomous, really. You know, you react in a certain way to things, but how you react is based on your experience, your understanding of life. And if you, I do think that the family unit is a really, really critical part of making good people. You know, as soon as you take people out of that family unit, and or if the family unit's dysfunctional, I always see trauma in people's lives, and I see weird things that they do, like they cheat on their partners, or they're too angry, or anything that's sort of not what we want to see from people. And it's like home's where it's at.
Especially men, you know, like
for sure.
We're supposed to be the spiritual leaders, and this will probably sound contrary to popular belief, but we're actually supposed to be the emotional leaders as well. Because
I think men need to be accountable for what they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's very easy to turn around and say, oh, you know, I made a mistake, but don't worry about it, or you got to own it.
Yeah, own it, man.
Because I think boys learn by what they see, so they copy each other. We copy each other. You hang around with other men, you do what they do. Yep. And like the only way to show them is to be the example. No one wants to be told how to act. You show me.
Show them. Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. And was there a pivotal point in your life where something dramatic changed, when you knew you had to shift?
Many times.
Yeah. Is there one that you can recall on that you can share? And what was the specific things? And this is what I think is really hard for people. You know, in my company, I train and I develop people, and I come up with policies, procedures, etc. But what I found over the years is what people struggle with is that they don't know how to do things. They know what, but they actually don't know how. So can you like kind of be specific around the things in terms of the how of what you did to get yourself out of that pivotal point or challenge?
Sure. I think when I was powerlifting, I kind of knew. I'll tell you the story. So it was 2014, and I just finished. I won a state competition, and I was about to finish this competition and go home. And the group of people I hung out with were all fighting with each other. Their boyfriend and girlfriends were fighting, and then the groups were fighting with each other. And I just remember looking at them all thinking, you're also emotionally weak, but all you do is train weights, and you have no you can't control the things you say. You get upset easily. No one's in emotional control. And I just had this sort of like epiphany moment where I was like really strong on the outside, really weak on the inside. And I thought, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Like, I'm going to wake up one day and be really strong, but without doing the inside work, it's not really worth it. And it was really that's where I just got over it. After that point, I couldn't unsee what I had seen, and I did it to myself. So I competed for another 2 years in a sport that, like, it was dead to me after that moment. I just realized, what the hell are we doing this for? I'm here killing myself to powerlift every day just for the sake of the sport and for the sake of who I thought I was. And then I realized that I just didn't care. So I actually went on to win a world championship after that, but I was totally not into it. During that sort of process, I kind of woke up to it. And then I realized that it's futile. And so I had to make changes. I had to do things to get out of that. And I did. I ended up moving away from Brisbane. I quit my job. I went back to university. I built a different business. I stopped powerlifting. So I did all the things that I thought was right to get me out of that situation. Unfortunately, it didn't take me to the right place. And I think that was based on my own ego and my own hunger to make something happen. And so the universe, as it tends to throw you the irony that it does, it made it very difficult for me. And many, many times during the process of me, as I was teaching, I had the craziest things happen in our business where it was like I'd build up to a certain point and then I would lose everything. And that happened to me like 3 or 4 times as I was doing it. Maybe I wasn't smart enough to see the writing on the wall at the time, but eventually I got the message and I thought, okay, I need to stop doing this. You know, so I had to learn that lesson over and over again. Sorry, what was that?
Happy, my bro, because you're reading my mail, because I've done that a few times. You start, it's successful, and then you think you're doing the right thing, and then for me, it's always been when I go to upscale, and I don't anticipate the thresholds because I don't really see them, and so because I don't see them, because my focus is on other things, and that's the nutritional side of things, and I killed some really, really financially favorable businesses doing exactly the same thing.
Wow. Yeah, well, you know, I think you have to be smart enough to read between the lines. If you're following your heart, everything will roll. It will be easy and it won't feel like work. But when you have to really grind to get something across the line, sometimes it's not the right path for you, and you're just like putting in effort. And I always say, if you go with flow, you don't have to put the effort in. But if you have to effort everything, it's kind of showing you maybe something's not right about what you're doing. And that's where ego is the biggest liar, because like your ego is going to tell you to keep going. And my ego has got no limit. It wants, like, if it made me as strong as I could be, there's no obstacle I don't think I can handle, which sounds good, but it's inherently risky, because then you become sort of, you fall victim to your own self-belief. You're going to be like, oh, I can do anything. Yep. And is it what you need to do? So I had to learn the lesson of, like, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. You have to pick that path. It takes a long time.
What would you suggest to, males out there, if you had to give them a life lesson, just one, and this is so hard because there's so many that everyone would have experienced that adds up, I suppose, to the end and the conclusion of things. What would you recommend? What would you say?
One thing.
Or maybe 2.
I think every man needs to have a real good, hard look at themselves and what they're doing, and be very honest about the outcomes of your actions and your thoughts and your behaviors, and most of all, your habits. So if you can have a look at what you're doing in life, if you have the foresight to see where it's going to take you, is that where you want to go? Is that what you want to do? And it doesn't cost much to take stock of that anytime. You can 5 minutes, have a look. Am I really making the right choice right now? Is this really what I want? And being astute enough to recognize when it's your ego dragging you, or when you're trying to convince yourself you can do it, because I think that's what would help a lot of people, especially men, because I think men act without really thinking through the consequences of what they're doing. And everything has consequences, whether they're good or whether they're bad. It's more just those consequences are the effect of your actions. And I think if you put a little bit more time into that, all of a sudden it would make sense, you know?
Yeah, it changes the look of it. The more you actually ponder, and the more, especially with the detail side of it, how's it going to look, and then how many different ways you can slice that, and then just the, like you said, the foresight, the sagacity to actually project where that could end up, and then who am I going to drag into this? Who else is going to affect? Because it's bigger than just us as individuals, especially when you got families, and then when you're cultured like we are, you've got a family and everything that we do, especially when you're leaders, like you, like the three of us are. People are watching you, and people will follow you blindly, man. And it can be a pernicious road, man.
Definitely. That's a great way to look at it. I've had that happen where people have followed me with this sort of blind admiration because of what I was doing. And I never liked it. I never liked getting adulation, or I never liked people thinking fond of me just because I was doing something they wanted to do. People wait for me in gyms to shake my hand because I squatted more than them. And I'd always be like, it's the same squat you did, but there was a bit more weight. Who cares? It's a funny thing.
And one more question, and I know Anthony Poe was telling me to ask this question. It's a little bit cheeky, but there's meaning behind it. But what really boils your puha and pork bones?
What really upsets me? I think I really hate to see people be less than who they could be.
Yeah.
And it hurts me because I see how, now that I've had, I grew up a little bit once we had the baby passed, and once some of the other difficult things in my life had happened, it sort of showed me that life is transitory. And on this version of life for me right now, you know, I always feel bad when I see people, it's like they're stifled or they're not being as good as what they could be. And it hurts because, like, your parents put in time to bring you, and their ancestors got you here. And here's your chance to shine. And instead of shining, you're getting caught up in nonsense. And I always feel that, you know, that always upsets me. And that motivates me to help other people, though. So it's I wouldn't say it's a wasted life for those people, but they're not getting to where they could go if they're you know, they're limiting themselves.
Yeah. Wow.
No, absolutely. And look, I just want to say it's been amazing conversing with you, and I want you to come on another show where we talk about us, because ultimately it's all interlinked, and you know, your transition from, you know, being an athlete into, you know, the food industry, the fitness food industry. I can guarantee you've got some amazing tips and hints and strategies that people would love to know if they were starting a business and even transitioning themselves. So say yes.
Well, it feels good doing what we're doing, and that's why I know it's the right thing. You know, when I was working in the health and fitness industry, I always used to say it's about the outcome of what I do, not the income. And that's great, except you got to pay rent. And I didn't think of that. Yeah. So I was murdering my income for the sake of being good to people. And it's still worthy to do that. But that's why I said to you, you know, when we built the brownie business, it was really about creating a money machine for our family. But in saying that, I built it with the intention that, you know, I feel proud of what I do. So I never sell products that I don't love. And we're meticulous about what we do. It was a very scientific process to get the recipe. I wanted to feel proud that when someone buys our product, they're going to love it and I'm going to feel happy. You gave me a bit of money and I think it's worth the exchange. And when I was in the fitness industry, I never considered that because I just cared about getting people over the line. And you'll get a lot of people high five you, and I've built great friends, and there's many perks that I've received for being good to people. But you got to take care of yourself, and you got to make sure that, you know, how we earn money is really important, because unfortunately we have to do it. And so I just think, for me, having lived a life where I've made money doing jobs that I didn't want to do, I've made money doing jobs that my parents wanted me to do, which I didn't want to do, and I've made money doing jobs that, like, I didn't want to make money from. And it's wonderful to find a position where I can go, this is just to make money. And that's completely cool. That's not really bad. And so it's really rewarding to do that. And I mean, you know, we're not rich people yet, but we live a happy life, and I don't wake up stressing about how we're going to get food tonight.
Say that one more time. You live a what?
What was that?
Say that one more time. You live a what? A happy
A
life.
happy life.
Up, man. Being
But
happy.
you know what? I got to say, it took a lot of work to find happiness. You had to be committed to finding it, and you had to be real, because like, it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's an easy thing, and I can only say that I feel immense gratitude every day because we're happy.
I agree. It's taken me, oh gosh, I'm not going to disclose how old I am, but nearly 20 years to understand what the word happiness means.
Yeah.
And actually working towards understanding what will actually fill my cups to make me happy.
Uh-huh.
So, I resonate with what you're saying, and I can guarantee everybody else is in the same boat. But look, I could sit here and talk to you for another like 2 hours, but I know I can't because you are a busy man with your business and your family. But I just want to say it's been amazing conversating with you and conversing, and absolutely want you to come back and share and impart.
I'd love to. Sorry, this is my dad is in the background waving at you guys. He's going to work. He just wanted to say goodbye.
Well, we do respect for our elders, man. You know how we do.
Yeah, we would love to have you back on the show, and thank you so much, because again, the point of what we're doing is we want to, if we can at least help one person to change their life and give them some ideas around what momentum brushes could be for them. You know, we've done somebody, the favor of helping and giving back. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I think what you're doing is great. You know, more people need real conversation, and, you know, I'm nobody special. I'm just another person doing my life.
I know you well enough to know how special you are, bro.
That's very kind of you.
And this guy over here does not lie, so I absolutely appreciate the fact that you were here.
You're welcome.
From you and your lovely family. So have an amazing day. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
guys.
Eldene, we will converse again.
Let's do it. We'll be in touch, right?
We'll get you on for the business, and then we'll do some more Aroha Tane shows. And because, bro, you're a gem, man, and I've always known that about you, and I've always wanted to get you on some kind of forum and just speaking to you, because you're so eloquent as well, and it's really hard in this day and age to actually find people who possess the vocabulary to actually express themselves perfectly. So yeah, I've always enjoyed that about mine and your conversations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Lovely to chat to you.
Bless you guys, man.
You too. Much love. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.